We start with a welcome from the IJF President, Mr. Marius Wieser.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure to attend for the third time the session. I want to express my respect and the respect of the IGF family and the executive board for all the ladies from the judo family and around the judo family and the sport, for your creativity, for the complexity of your mission in the life, to be first of all wives, mothers, professionals in different sectors, and involving so much passion in everything what you do. Of course, Lisa said, when you are together, you are stronger. I prefer that you are more divided, not so united. I am joking. So we are very open in any kind of sense to collaborate, and in the judo family, of course, the criteria is the professionality, but we are open and we are supportive to all initiatives. We will increase also the number of the members in the executive committee by the next election. As you well know already, we made a big step and big progress for the next Olympic game. The quota of ladies and men's is 50-50, even in representation and participation in the judo events. In generally, the average is 70-30 or 65-35, but just to encourage the participation and the chance of the ladies, we took this decision, and first time in the Olympic, the quota will be next year 50-50. Any kind of proposal, suggestion, projects, we are ready to support and to follow for the benefit of our sport, of our community, and for the benefit of both gender and of the next generation. Thank you very much for the contribution of all ladies involved in the different projects, for the attendance this session, and we wish you a successful World Championship and a nice staying in Tokyo. Thank you.
And now, as the President of our host National Federation, I'd like to ask for a few words from the newly elected President of the Japan National Olympic Committee, President Yasuhiro Yamashita.
Dear judo family, dear leaders of gender equity in sports, dear friends, on behalf of All Japan Judo Federation, I'd like to welcome you all here to the IJF Gender Equity Conference. It is a great honor to have the second edition of this event here in Japan. I'd like to thank IJF President Mr. Marius Wieser and IJF Gender Equity Commission Director Dr. Lisa Allen, and all supporters who made this event happen. Judo is a sport for all, regardless of nationalities, religion, age, and of course, gender. As IJF Development Director, I am determined to realize gender equity in our sport. Women and men working together and creating a society based on the value of respect, progress, and fairness Together, we are stronger. I'm very excited for the 8 days competition starting from tomorrow. In particular, I look forward to the final day of competition, mixed team event. Women and men as one team will compete for the title of world champion. Unfortunately, I must leave here soon for another meeting at the Japanese Olympic Committee. But I hope you'll enjoy the presentation from the wonderful leaders here today. I wish all your best and have a memorable stay in Tokyo. Thank you very much.
We are proud today to announce that the International Judo Federation are going to sign the Brighton and Helsinki 2014 declaration. Now, this declaration was developed by the IWG and is the world's largest network dedicated to empowering women and girls in sport and physical activity. And by signing this declaration, we are committing to these 10 principles. And we're very honoured today to have Dr. Etsuko Ogasawara, who's the Asian representative of this organisation here, to sign the pledge together with Mr. President. The pledge also requires 2 witnesses, so we have asked Mr. Ruji in his capacity not only as the General Secretary, but also as a member of our IGF Gender Equity Commission, and Yamashita Sensei to be those witnesses. So we will make the signing now. More than 500 organisations have already signed up to this pledge, and it's really great that the IGF is following suit.
I'm afraid it's stronger than a wedding document, no?
This for sure. And now, if the documents are signed, we would ask the attendees on the table to stand with the document in front of them so that we can get a nice group picture with the sponsors in the background. Ellie, background, please. Can we make another photo in front of the sponsors, please? Yeah, Marina, hi, in front of the sponsors. A remarkable moment for judo, and I know that Yamashita and Mr. Vieser have to shoot off because they have a very busy schedule, but I would just like to ask Etsuko to come to the lectern and say a few words on behalf of the IWG.
Thank you. This is very important. You can see me? Okay, yeah, I'm here. Hi, my name is Etsuko Ogasawara. I am an Asian representative of the International Working Group on Women's Sports. We call IWG. I'm very honored to be here as a witness of the very important and the memorable moment of the signing of the Brighton plus Helsinki 2014 Declaration for the International Judo Federation. First of all, Mr. President, thank you so much for your decision and also your executive board members' decision of the signing the declaration. We deeply appreciate your commitment to show your future development and acceleration of the gender equality in judo community in the world. We will organize the ACE, the World Conference on Women's Sports in Auckland in New Zealand in May 2022. We really hope that you can speak about your progress report at the conference. And we are really looking forward to listening to them. Good luck and see you in New Zealand. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And while we prepare for our first speaker, I'd just like once again to thank everybody for signing the pledge. Thank you very much.
See, we are already obliged to leave. We were pressed to sign.
Thank you very much. So we'll kick off for the second conference now, and we invite to the stage our first speaker. She's president of one of our national federations and also has an enormous job in tourism. Elisabetta? We invite Dr. Sanda Chorak.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, dear judo colleagues and friends. It is really a great pleasure for me to be here on the occasion of the second gender conference. As you can see, my topic today is statistics on women in judo, because numbers are objective. So why I put the title like this? Because in my professional life, I am a scientific researcher, and in science we rely on the numbers because numbers are usually more objective than opinions. But first I would like to start with the kind of conclusions from the last conference. So just to remind us that we had the remark that, and we all know that men and women have different historic paths in judo. And women started to practice judo in many countries much later than men, and of course this had impact on the development of women judo in many countries. But we can also be proud on judo because from the development in judo, judo can be today as a modern Olympic combat sport. Best example of gender equality in competition area, in a sport hall, and everything that is connected on tatami and around tatami. But of course, we all know that women are underrepresented in all other areas, in the field of coaches, referees, administrative staff, and especially on leadership positions. We also observed at the last conference from the IGF survey that were conducted at the end of 2017 that we also have a gap between share of women that are competitors and the shares of women on all other positions. Of course, IGF survey also showed that only a small number of countries really started to do activities to empower the woman. As you can see from this table, and maybe you remember the table from the IGF Congress, Lisa already put it in presentation, that we have the biggest share of women among the competitors and among women contestants. This is data from Judo Base. So this is above 30%. Then if you look at all persons that are in Judo Base, we have 28% of women there. And now from that part of the table, you can see a big drop. So only 80% of IGF referees, national presidents, we have only 20 ladies as national presidents. And we have our Lisa Allen as representative of women at the Executive Commission, but of course this is now going to be changed, and we can be really happy because of the statutory changes and 25% of women. And I believe that IGF recommendations are also going to impact national federations to also change this share of women at the executive committees. I would like not now to make conclusions, but just make kind of personal remark and my personal story. I began as the president of Judo Federation. I was elected, it was end of 2004, beginning of 2005. And at that time, of course, in my country and coming to international conferences, I observed a small number of women. But somehow I thought that naturally this is going to be changed. And years passed and nothing much really changed. To give you exact numbers, at that time, only 2 women were national presidents in Europe. Today, we have 3 women. So, in Europe, out of 52 countries. So, if we are doing nothing, nothing is going to be changed. And I'm just giving you 3 arguments. Gender equality is a human right. So this is not only a woman issue. Gender equity, gender equality as well, it is among basic values of Olympism. And it is also one of the core principles of good governance. So I believe that we all share idea that we would like to have very good and very efficiently organized federations. I will continue later, but now I think that the conference is dedicated to answer the question, how can we change the situation? What should we do? So let's hear the best practices around the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra, for those statistics. We're going to move on very quickly now, and we're going to share some cases of national federations where there's examples of good practice. And in addition to that, we're going to ask some of our current and former athletes and coaches their perspective and their experiences on gender equity. So our next speaker, I'm very happy to inform you, is Ms. Motoko Matsuda, and she's from the Women's Judo Promotion Commission from the All Japan Judo Federation, and she's here today to share some of the best practices that they have been doing in their federation. Welcome, Motoko-san.
Hello everyone, welcome to Japan. My name is Motoko Matsuda. I'm chairman of Women's Judo Promotion Committee in the All Japan Judo Federation. I'm an associate professor of the Osaka University of Health and Sports Sciences, as well as head coach of women's judo team. Today, I will challenge myself and make my presentation in English. I would like to thank Lisa and IJF for giving me the opportunity to make a presentation. Today, I will speak on two topics. First, the challenge of girls and women's judo in Japan. Second, the mission and activities of Women's Judo Promotion Committee. Tomorrow, the World Championships will start, and a lot of expectation are on the Japan women team. However, 40 years ago, when women's competition started in Japan, there was little support for women's judo. Both female judokas and coaches in Japan must have overcome many barriers. Competitive women's judo in Japan had a slow start compared to other countries. Kaori Yamaguchi became the first Japanese female world champion. スライド変えてください。At the 1984 Vienna World Championships, this was a big milestone for Japanese judo, energizing the women's judo community. Ryoko Tani followed, and Japan went on to develop a powerful women's judo team, and went on to produce many world and Olympic champions. Now, I would like to ask you a question. Do you think that women judoka in Japan, in general, have been involved with judo after they retire as a competitor? The answer is, unfortunately, many quit judo shortly after retiring. The number of women who are registered as board member or coach in the All Japan Judo Federation has doubled in the past 15 years. However, the total share of women compared to men is only 6.4%. It is important to note that the share of women in university is roughly 20%. We ask, why this difference? Why do women who practice judo in university rarely stay involved in their later year? The Women's Judo Promotion Committee carried out a questionnaire to investigate. We targeted more than 300 women who practiced judo in university. We learned that half of them quit judo shortly after graduation. Here are the three main reasons. First, challenges of having a child and continuing judo. Second, work and career responsibilities. Third, after moving due to marriage or work, there is little connection within the local judo community. We also realized that there was lack of female role models in board member, coach, referee, and official positions. These challenges are not unique in judo, but are common in all sports. Now, I tell the reason why the All Japan Judo Federation decided to start putting women in board member position. For long years, the key positions in All Japan Judo Federation were held by men. In 2013, the All Japan Judo Federation was in a difficult situation. Coaches were held responsible for power harassment and violence towards the athlete in women's national team. These events were covered on the media and became topics of debate, as well as a serious social issue. The All Japan Judo Federation has started various reformations. One of them was to put women in leadership positions inside the federation. In 2013, for the first time ever, 4 female executive board members were appointed. In 2019, the federation also appointed its first female vice president. There are now women in the All Japan Judo Federation in high position, making core decisions. We made these actions to use the talent and perspectives of women to contribute to the federation's progress and development. To make further change, the Women's Judo Promotion Committee was established in 2015. The purpose was to develop judo by enhancing the presence of women. In 2015, first, we have 3 missions. First, increasing the number of female judoka. Second, increasing the number of women in leadership roles. Third, creating a better environment for female coaches and referees so they can continue to perform at their best. The committee is also encouraging each regional judo federation the appointed women in board member positions. As a result, 40 out of 47 regional judo federations currently have an active female board member. In order to spread this movement throughout Japan, the committee also organizes women discussion workshops. At these events, women of all ages discuss their current challenges they face, and in work group discuss possible solutions. These events are a great opportunity to strengthen the women judo network within a community. To make a better environment, we allocate a budget to operate a daycare room at every competition organized by the All Japan Judo Federation. Mothers and, of course, fathers can drop off their children free of charge at the daycare while they go on to their responsibility as coach, referee, or official. A daycare room will also be operating at the Nippon Budokan as the World Championship are starting tomorrow. As a grassroots movement, the committee organized the Career Up Seminar event. This event is targeted female university students and coaches, and usually takes place in combination with training camp and local competition. Seminars are hosted by guest speakers such as active female coaches and referees. Mr. Yamashita, President of All Japan Judo Federation, also held a QA and brainstorming session to discuss the future of women's judo. We hope these seminars encourage women to stay involved in judo. After they graduate university, start working and have family. As the chairman of Women's Judo Promotion Committee and as Women Judoka, I hope that young people continue to stay involved in judo as an athlete, coach, referee, and of course as a fan. I always emphasize the following message to young judoka. All the things which you have learned through judo is a treasure for the judo world. I will never end when you retire as a competitor. I tell them the sky is the limit. Please use these tools for the rest of your life and benefit society. Women compose half the planet. Therefore, the power and talent of women is necessary for the development of society. It is most important that both women and men respect their differences and together progress forward, step by step. I strongly believe that this is the future of judo and society itself. Thank you very much for listening. I wish you all a successful World Championship. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Motoko-san. And I'm just asking if anybody has any questions for Motoko either. I'm sure she'll take them also in Japanese, not only English. Any questions from anybody? I think the idea of a daycare centre, a creche at the championships and events is a fantastic idea and probably quite simple to implement at not too much cost. So congratulations on that initiative, and we've got a small gift for you as a speaker. Thank you very much. Thank you. So now we're going to move across the globe. We're going to go from Japan to Cuba. And I invite two of our current members of our World Judo Tour. We have with us Miss Idalis Ortiz, who's our current top athlete and is actually competing here in the World Championships, and her coach, Mr. Jordanis Aranchibia, who was a former top athlete and is now coaching. So welcome, Jordanis and Idalis. So they're going to speak in Spanish, but we have Carlos who's going to translate into English for everybody.
Buenas tardes. Agradezco una oportunidad como esta para compartir algunas ideas que han nacido de mis casi 20 años practicando judo. Las mujeres de este deporte hemos demostrado que detrás de cada campeona o simplemente de cada practicante que entró a un tatami hay muchas historias por contar, tal y como las tienen nuestros antecesores del sexo masculino.
I appreciate this opportunity to share some ideas. I'm almost 20 years practicing judo. In this sport, every woman in a tatami have many stories just like men.
Empecé el judo en un pequeño gimnasio del municipio de Candelaria, en la provincia de Pinar del Río, a unos 160 kilómetros de La Habana. Tenía 9 años y el primer entrenador, Miguel Chamizo, fue claro al explicarme en qué consistía este deporte. Mucha disciplina, mucho esfuerzo, mucho entrenamiento y un comportamiento ético ante la vida. Y al final resumió, en lo deportivo se trata de proyectar a la gente y que no te tiren a ti. Ambas cosas las he seguido al pie de la letra.
I started judo in a small gym in the municipality of Candelaria in the province of Pinar del Rio, about 160 kilometers from Havana. I was 9 years old. My first coach, Miguel Chamizo, was clear in explaining to me what is this sport considered. A lot of discipline, a lot of effort, a lot of training, and an ethical behavior towards life. And in the end, he summed up, you need throw people, and you cannot permit throw to you. I have followed both things.
Tras aprender a romper caídas y algunas técnicas, gané una competencia municipal al mes de haber llegado al gimnasio, pero no había concientizado que podía ser una gran deportista. Esto llegaría tiempo después, cuando fui invitada a un top en el equipo nacional, que dirigía entonces el profesor Ronaldo Beitía. Era viernes y tenía 14 años. Había ganado el campeonato nacional juvenil.
After learning to falls and some techniques, I won a municipal competition a month after arriving at the gym, but I had not made aware that I could be a great athlete. That would come later when I was invited to participate with the national team that was then led by Professor Ronaldo Beitia. It was Friday and I was 14 years old and he had won the National Youth Championship.
El profesor Beitía me preguntó sin rodeo, ¿trajiste kimono? Y ahí mismo me puso a combatir. Mi hermana que me acompañaba estaba nerviosa y me decía, Idalis, ¿tú quieres estar aquí? Seguro, vámonos, que estas mujeres están muy fuertes. Al otro día ella llegaría a traerme ropa, pues la niña se quedó en el equipo nacional y desde ese entonces solo he vuelto a la casa solo de visitas y vacaciones.
Professor Beitia asked me bluntly, did you bring a kimono? And right there, he put me to fight. My sister, who was with me, was nervous and said, Idalis, do you want to be here for sure? Let's go. These women are very strong. The next day, she will return to bring me some clothes because I stayed in the national team, and since then, I have returned to my home only for visit or vacation.
Han pasado 15 años desde este entonces. Luego vendría el estreno internacional en el torneo Villa de París en Francia, en una fecha que recuerdo como si fuera hoy, 12 de febrero del 2006. Allí perdí el primer combate ante la búlgara. Lo asumí tranquila, pero luego nunca más he perdido una primera pelea. Crecí como una mujer deportista y judoka. Llegaría a la primera medalla olímpica en Beijing del 2008, bronce, y luego 7 medallas mundiales, incluyendo los oros del 2013 y 2014. Como si fuera poco, disfruté al máximo la corona olímpica de Londres 2012 y una plata también brillante en Río de Janeiro 2016.
15 years have passed since then. That my international premier will come at the Villa de Paris tournament in France. On a date I remember that it was today, February 12, 2006. They are lost the first fight against the Bulgarian. I took it easy, but then I never lost a first fight again. I grew up as a woman athlete and judoka. The first Olympic medal will arrive in Beijing 2008, bronze, and then 7 world medals, including the golds of 2013 and 2014. As if that were not enough, I enjoyed the London 2012 Olympic crown and a brilliant silver in Rio de Janeiro 2016. Claps the hands, yes, of course.
Pero no son de medallas lo que más quiero hablar en estos minutos. El judo femenino en Cuba ha sido una escuela de valores humanos y cada una de las adolescentes, casi niñas que llegamos a la élite mundial, recordamos que al principio nuestros padres y algunas personas en la sociedad no comprendían este deporte, que ayuda a romper barreras, que nos hace sentirnos más libres y también más sanos física y espiritualmente.
But they are not about medals what I most want to talk about in these minutes. Women's judo in Cuba has been a school of human values, and each of the teenage girls who reached the world elite, remember that at the beginning, our parents and some people in society did not understand this sport, which helps break barriers, which make us feel freer and also healthier physically and spiritually.
Poco a poco los resultados alcanzados por nuestro equipo superaron cuantitativamente los del equipo masculino en Cuba, primero a nivel de América y luego a nivel mundial y olímpico, y eso demostró que teníamos las mismas posibilidades que ellos, que la práctica de este deporte no depende solo de ser fuerte físicamente, sino también mental. No se concentra solo en ser independiente y tener los músculos desarrollados, sino en asumir que esas fortalezas y libertad son capaces de lograr todos los objetivos que uno se proponga.
Gradually, the results achieved by our team exceed quantitatively those of the men's team in Cuba, first at the level of America and then at the world and Olympic level. And that showed that we had the same possibilities as them, that the practice of this sport depends not only on being physically strong, but also mentally strong. It does not focus only on being independent and having developed muscles, but on assuming that strength and freedom are capable of achieving all the objectives and one sets.
Gracias a nuestro ejemplo y al de muchas entrenadoras, los padres han ido entendiendo que las mujeres podemos participar en los deportes de combate, específicamente en judo. Y no dejamos de ser bellas a quienes nos gusta también la música, el baile, que nos regalen una flor o sentir el amor por nuestras parejas.
Thanks to our example and that of many coaches, parents have understood that women can participate in combat sports, especially in judo. And we are still beautiful, who also like music, dance, that we give a flower or feel the love of our partner.
Tener entrenadores hombres. Tener entrenadores hombres es otra de las cosas que ha ido cambiando con el tiempo. Y muchas de las judocas con medallas mundiales u olímpicas se han superado con estudios universitarios y hoy cumplen esas funciones. Quiero terminar mi intervención con dos anécdotas personales que reflejan este tema que hemos estado tratando.
Having male coaches is another thing that has changed over time, and many of the judokas with world or Olympic medals have been overcome with university study and today fulfill those functions. I want to end my speech with two personal anecdotes that reflect this issue we are dealing with.
En los Juegos Olímpicos de Londres, donde gané la medalla de oro, la decisión fue por Hantei, en regla de oro. Estaba tranquila cuando terminó el tiempo reglamentario, pero el árbitro del centro del tatami era una mujer y me sonrió. Interpreté que quería decirme, lo has hecho bien, pero desconocía qué pensaban los árbitros de la esquina. Confiaba que había dado lo mejor de mí y debía merecer la victoria, pero ese gesto de mujer no lo olvido nunca. Segundos más tarde, fue unánime la votación y me hice campeona olímpica.
In the London Olympics, where I won the gold medal, the decision was by ante in golden score. I was calm when the regular time ended, but the referee at the center of the tatami was a woman and smiled at me. I interpreted that he wanted to tell me, "You have well done," but I didn't know what the other two referees thought. I hoped he had given me the best and deserved the victory, but that woman's gesture I never forget. Seconds later, the vote was unanimous, and I became an Olympic champion.
Muy ligada al interior, estuvo viendo esta pelea mía en Cuba. Una persona se infartó y hubo que hospitalizarlo. Cuando regresé a mi país, fui a visitarlo al hospital y luego a su casa. Pues por suerte todo pasó. Fue solo emoción y sobrevivió al infarto. Hoy somos grandes vecinos y amigos. Esta es la Idalis Ortiz, muy auténtica y cubana. Feliz y gracias a los que han proporcionado el judo. Muchas gracias.
Very linked to the above was that watched that fight of mine in Cuba, a person had a heart attack and had to be hospitalized. When I returned to my country, I went to visit him in the hospital and then to his house. Because luckily, everything happened. It was only the emotion and the survived the heart attack. Today, we are great neighbors and friends. This is the most authentic Cuban and happy Idalis Ortiz. Thank you and what judo has given me.
Just ask for your patience while for our Japanese, we have a lot of Japanese attendees, and Chizuru's just going to give them a 3-minute recap in Japanese, just so they could get more of the gist of the story. And then we'll ask Idalis some questions. Thank you.
ただいまのオルティス選手の、発表を日本語で訳させていただきます。私が9歳の頃に柔道を始めた時、先生は私に対してこういう言葉を教えてくれました。スポーツは自分自身を投影するものです。柔道は多くの規律、多くの努力、多くのトレーニング、そして人生に対する倫理的な行動で成り立っているのです。それ以来、私はこの言葉を胸に15年間練習を積み重ねてきました。これまで数々の国際試合で戦ってきましたが、その試合はどれも私を選手として、また柔道家として、そして一人の選手として強く成長させてくれました。キューバにおいては女子柔道は人間の価値観を教える学校であると言えます。私たちキューバ女子柔道チームが達成した結果は、キューバ男子柔道チームの結果を量的に超え、このことは女性が男性と同じ可能性を秘めていること、そして柔道における強さは身体的な強さだけではなく、内面的な強さにも依存しているということを示しました。私たち自身が示す結果や多くの指導者たちのおかげで、キューバの子どもたちの親は、女性が格闘家、格闘技、特に柔道に参加することや、格闘技や柔道をしている女性も美しく、音楽やダンスも好きであるということをよく理解しております。また、柔道を通じて得た友情は、柔道が私たちに与えてくれたものの一つであり、私はそれに対して大きな幸せを感じております。以上、概要の翻訳でした。
Arigato. So, do we have any questions for Idalis? We'll take them in English, Spanish, or Japanese, any language that you like. Any questions? Everybody's so happy to get on with the next speaker, but before we do that, we have a gift for Idalis Sensei. Muchas gracias, señora. And now we will hear from Jordanis, her coach. He'll tell the other side of the story.
Es un enorme placer que nos hayan invitado a dos judokas cubanos a compartir de nuestra historia un tema tan importante en el judo y el deporte mundial, con mucho honor aún, siendo la tierra de Jigoro Kano, el padre fundador de esta arte marcial, tanto contribuido en la formación y educación de millones de personas en todo el mundo.
It's a great pleasure that two Cuban judokas have invited to share from our stories a topic of such importance in judo and world sports, with much more honor being in the land of Jigoro Kano, the father of this martial art that has contributed so much to the training and education of millions of people around the world.
Debo confesar que aquí en Japón está mi ídolo desde que yo era un niño y adolescente, Toshihiko Koga, campeón olímpico, campeón mundial. Yo miraba sus videos, miraba su técnica Sode Suri y yo empecé a hacerla y tanto le agradaba a la gente que se lo copié y aunque con mi estilo, el judo japonés fue una referencia para mí importante. Pero fueron también las judocas mujeres cubanas que antes de yo ganar un título mundial juvenil en 1998, ya había conquistado medallas de oro en campeonatos mundiales élite y sumaban campeonas continentales y olímpicas.
I must confess that here in Japan is my idol since I was a child and teenager, Toshihiro Koga, Olympic champion and world champion. I watched his videos, watched his techniques, saw the tsuri, and I began to do it. And people liked it so much that I copied it, although with my style. Japanese judo was a reference for me, but so were the Cuban judo women who, before winning the world youth title, my title, in 1998, had already won gold medals in elite world championships and added continental and Olympic champions.
Es decir, me hice un poco judoka y gané 4 medallas mundiales, una de plata en el 2007 y bronces en el 1999, 2001, 2003 y 2 bronces olímpicos en Atenas 2004 y Beijing 2008. Inspirado en un equipo femenino que dirigía el profesor Beitia, quien siempre defendió la idea de que las mujeres en el deporte, en especial el judo, podían igualar o superar los resultados de los hombres, y en Cuba se consiguió.
That is, I became a big judoka and won 4 world medals: silver 2007 and bronze 1999, 2001, 2003, and 2 Olympic bronze medals, Athens 2004 and Beijing 2008, inspired by the women's teams led by Professor Ronaldo Beitia, who always defend that the idea that women in sports, especially in judo, could match or exceed men's results, and in Cuba, they got it.
Años más tarde, tras retirarme como atleta, me ha tocado dirigir y continuar el trabajo con las mujeres judokas, que son una escuela para muchos otros deportes en Cuba, y me atrevería a decir que en América y en el mundo también lo son.
Years later, after retiring as an athlete, I have had to direct and continue working with judo women, who are a school for many other sports in Cuba, and I will dare to say that in America and the world they are too.
Es cada vez más importante el empoderamiento de las mujeres en el deporte, que ellas ocupen las mismas responsabilidades que por mucho tiempo han estado reservadas solo para hombres, y que lo hagan con esa dosis de fortaleza y de ternura que solo ellas lo pueden lograr. Cada uno de sus triunfos es una enseñanza de que pueden conquistar lo que se propongan.
It's increasingly important the empowerment of women in sports, that they occupy the same responsibilities that have long been reserved only for men, and that they do so with that dose of strength and tenderness that only they can achieve. Each of their triumph is teaching that they can conquer that they set out to do.
Y lo logran además con perfección, belleza y amor. Soy uno de los que considero que no se puede hacer judo si no hay una dosis grande de amor al trabajo, a los valores de lealtad, decisión y entrega. Mis alumnas asimilan y entienden todo muy bien. Las apoyo desde lo técnico deportivo, para también desde lo espiritual, desde los sentimientos, con consejos oportunos y una estrecha relación con sus novios, hijos y familiares en general.
And they also achieve it with perfection, beauty, and love. I am one of those who consider that judo cannot be done if there is not a large dose of love for work, values of loyalty, and dedication, of course. My students assimilate and understand everything very well. I support them from the technical and sports, but also from spiritual, from the feelings, with the appropriate advice and close relationship with their boyfriends, children, and family in general.
Siempre les digo que no se puede dejar perder la sangre de guerreras y valentía que tenemos los cubanos, porque eso nos lleva a ganar, aunque no tenemos todos los recursos económicos, y son muchos los ejemplos de triunfo cuando más difícil o duro se ha sido la rival, cuando casi llega a la final de combate, cuando una lección molesta, pero no impide seguir peleando encima del tatami. Desde también aprendo mucho junto al colectivo técnico de entrenadores.
I always tell them that you cannot lose the blood of warriors and bravery that with the Cubans have, because that the leads us to win, even if we don't have all the economic resources. There are many examples of triumphs when the opponent has been harder, when the end of the fight is almost there, when an injury bothers, but does not stop fighting on a tatami. From that, I also learn a lot with a group of trainers.
Soy un convencido de que el mundo no va a cambiar si las mujeres no están en posición de liderazgo al lado de nosotros, con esos definidos de los premios, de tanto como la organización como los patrocinadores de los eventos, sean de manera igualitaria para hombres y mujeres, con la misma cuantía u obsequios.
I'm convinced that the world will not change if women are not in a position of leadership next to us. That is why I argue that the awards, both from the organization and the sponsor of the event, are equally for men and women with the same amounts or gifts.
El deporte practicado por mujeres es una de las concreciones de los derechos a la igualdad de la sociedad contemporáneas, independientemente de sus condiciones sociales, edad, orígenes de procedencia, orientación, identidad sexual, etc. Lo hecho por la Federación Internacional de Judo con la competencia mixta por equipo, la misma cantidad de divisiones, 7, desde hace varios años para hombres y mujeres, así como premios y reconocimientos al mismo nivel, son ejemplos de ese empoderamiento a la que estamos convocados todos.
The sport practiced by women is one of the concretion of the right to equality in the contemporary societies, regardless of their social status, age, origin, orientation, and sexual identity. What has been done by the International Judo Federation with mixed team competition or events, that the same number of divisions, 7 men, 7 women, for several years for men and women, as well as awards and recognition at the same level, are examples of that the empowerment to which we are summoned all.
Por supuesto, quedan todavía barreras en la sociedad, en algunos dirigentes y en algunos aspectos culturales en muchos pueblos. En el judo debemos promoverlas más como practicantes, dirigentes, profesoras, entrenadoras, árbitros, jueces, periodistas, investigadoras y profesionales del judo. Quiero concluir mis palabras con 2 conclusiones de los pocos años de trabajo que llevo junto a ellas.
Of course, there are still barriers in the society, in some leaders, and in the cultural aspect of many peoples. In judo, we should promote them more as practitioners, leaders, teachers, coaches, referees, judges, journalists, researchers, and judo professionals. I want to conclude my words with 2 conclusions of the few years of work with them.
La primera, que en una sociedad conocida por los estereotipos de género, el deporte juega un papel muy importante en el empoderamiento de la mujer, porque lo permiten ser más críticas con ellas mismas y con la sociedad, aumentar su confianza y aprender a relacionarse sin miedo con los demás. El judo es ideal para eso.
The first, that in a society conditioned by gender stereotypes, sports plays is a very important role in the empowerment of women, because it allows them to be more critical of themselves and society, increase their confidence, and learn to relate without fear with others. Judo is ideal to try it.
Lo segundo, si aumentamos la visibilidad de las mujeres judocas a través de los medios de comunicación y otra forma, y se muestran que hay resultados iguales o superiores a los de los hombres, muchas más mujeres se sumarán a los hipones, porque tendrán un referente y un modelo a seguir. En Cuba lo hemos logrado hace muchos años y seguimos haciéndolos. Gracias a Idalio Ortiz, Calie Mantomarchin, Maylin del Toro y muchas más. Muchas gracias.
The second, if we increase the visibility of judo women through the media and other forms and show that there are results equal or greater than those of men, many more women will join the IPONES or IPONs because they will have a reference and role model. In Cuba, we have achieved it many years ago and we continue to do so thanks to Idalis Ortiz, Calie Mantormarchi, Maylin del Toro, and many more. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And again, we'll just do a short update for the Japanese guests.
世界中の何百万人もの人々の人間形成と教育に多大な貢献した加納七五郎師範の聖地で、本日このように柔道におけるジェンダーエクイティに関する私たち自身の話題を共有させていただけることは、私たち2人にとって大変な名誉です。まず私自身のお話をします。オリンピックと世界選手権のチャンピオンである古賀稔彦氏は私の幼少期からの憧れでした。私は彼の袖釣り込み腰を真似し、自分の技に取り入れました。この技が私の柔道スタイルとなり、その後世界選手権で4つの世界メダルを獲得することにつながりました。選手を引退後、私はキューバで女性柔道選手を指導し始めました。スポーツにおいて女性のエンパワーメントはますます重要になっています。女性だけが達成できる強さと美しさがあるからです。彼女たちの勝利は彼女たちの自立や強さを示すことにもつながります。選手たちの感受性は豊かで、彼女たちは多くを感じて受け取ります。家族や子供、そして時には恋人のように心理的なサポートや適切なアドバイスを行っております。私は選手たちに対していつもこのように伝えています。私たちはキューバ人が持つ勇気の血を失うことはできない。なぜならそれは私たちを勝利へと導くからです。困難な状況であればあるほど、畳の上に立ち続ける勇気を持つことが重要なのです。女性スポーツは社会的地位、年齢、出生地、文化、性的アイデンティティなどに関係なく、現代社会における平等権の一つです。国際柔道連盟によって行われた男女階級の同数化、また男女混合団体戦の実施などはまさしく女性のエンパワーメントです。もちろん社会、また一部の指導者および多くの人々の文化的側面には依然としてジェンダーの障壁があります。柔道においては選手、指導者、教師、コーチ、そして審判員やジャーナリスト、研究者たちが柔道の専門家としてジェンダーエクイティをより促進すべきです。私はもし女性がリーダー的立場にいなければこの世界は変わらないと確信しています。本日のスピーチを女性柔道家たちと過ごしてきた数年間で得た結論で締めくくりたいと思います。第一に、ジェンダーのステレオタイプに条件付けられた社会においては、スポーツは彼女たちに勇気や力を与える上で非常に重要な役割を果たします。なぜなら彼女たちは自分自身と社会に対してより批判的になり、また自信を高め、恐れることなく自身と社会、そして自身と他者の関係を結ぶことができるからです。そのことにおいて柔道は非常に理想的であると言えます。第2に、メディア報道を通じて女性柔道家が男性と同等、もしくはそれ以上の結果をもたらすことを示すことは、多くの少女たちにロールモデルを教え、女子柔道の認知度を高め、彼女たちの参加を促進することにつながります。キューバにおいては、イリラス・オルティス氏やカリエマ・アントマルチ氏、マイリン・デルトロ氏たちのおかげで、数年前によりこれらが達成されております。本日はありがとうございました。
Thank you, Chizuru-san. Do we have any questions for Jordanis? Anyone? Or we move on to the next speaker?
Muchas gracias.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, sorry, I have a present. Oh, I have a question and a present.
Are you preparing any of the ex-athletes, female athletes to become a coach?
Can you repeat?
Yes. Are you preparing any ex-female players to become a coach?
Sí, sí, en nuestro colectivo de entrenadores sí tenemos otras atletas que ya son entrenadoras, como es Drioli González, una de las grandes judocas en la historia del judo mundial. Y otras atletas también que se han retirado en su vida activa y están preparándose, estudiando. Y la idea es eso, irle insertando en el equipo nacional, en general en todo el deporte cubano, y nosotros en el judo lo hemos estado haciendo. Ya tenemos 2 entrenadoras, aparte de Drioli González, existe otra, Ibis Dueña, que competía en la división de la pesada.
Yes, Julius Gonzalez, and they are waiting and preparing for more ex-athletes to become a coach.
Okay. Jane, you can talk after as well if they'll be around afterwards. We have a gift for Jordanis also. Thank you very much again. Thank you. Going north now for our next speaker, we ask Nicola Gill, who's a former top athlete also, but he's done almost every role there is to do in judo. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from Judo Canada, Nicola Gill.
Good evening, Kambawa. Before I start, I'd like to thank and congratulate Lisa Allen for her commitment to the gender equity. I think she is, it's people like this that makes changes, so thank you very much. I think judo will be better with your effort. So, presentation is really what gender equity is for Judo Canada. Next one. I'd like to introduce myself. I was a national team athlete from 1989 to 2005. After my career, I switched right away as senior national team coach. After the Beijing Olympic, I switched to high performance director and also head coach. And since Rio, I became CEO and maintained my role as director, as the sport side of me is my background, so for me it was key to maintain that. So the history of gender equity for Judo Canada, and you will see it's a short history, sadly. In 2009, we hired a full-time female coach for the first time. That was my first, one of my first actions as a high-performance director. In the same year, the organization Create at that time was a Women Promotion Committee. That became a few years later, 10 years later, the Gender Equity Committee. In 2018, we had the Women's Summit. We regrouped women from all over the country to really try to make a difference. And from that summit, many concrete recommendations were created and are being put in place slowly, one by one. And we are at that stage currently this season. That slide I will not be able to look. So we are right now in this stage of this action plan that we are slowly putting in place. Following one. I was really happy to see the statistic report that was presented before. Canada is not different than Japanese federation, I guess. We have something in common. The representation, male and female, over different age group is quite similar until the senior age, where it dropped drastically. And this is where you see where coaches are from, referees are from, leaders are from, and this is really where our focus has to be put to change. Obviously, it's until that point, the dropping rate of people quitting the sport is pretty much the same, men and women, and it was a big, I guess, in a lot of discussion, people always felt that women quit at teenager age, but from a statistical report, they quit at the same as the boys, so it's the same concern at that when they go to school, boyfriend, girlfriend, etc., money, and this is really the same issue. Different issue is more at the senior age, and it's linked to what was shown before, is after their competitive career, they do not stay in the sport, and that's our big gap to close. So we create a gender equity policy. A lot of our effort from the period of 2009 to 2018 was to promote women judo in Canada. The impact was not as good as we would have liked. And that's where we really changed the strategy to not only promote women, but also act on the men, and to really make formal policy, and to really impact, I would say, the whole organization and not only the women participant. By gender equity is allocating the same resource opportunities in a fairly manner to female and male. The idea is not to make it easier for any, but to have equal opportunity for both male and female. I think equity and equality is slightly different. And you will see from the next, not this one. Maybe I'll give some time to read. Whoa, maybe I need my glasses now. Just in the last year also, we changed our governance. So our nomination committee will have to propose 33%. At this stage, the minority gender is the female, so they will need to propose 33% at the next election for the composition of our board of director. Historically, it has been one member, not unlike the IGF, I guess. We are currently at 2, and the goal is to be 33% at the next election. And we have a long-term goal to 50%. Our sport ministry in Canada has put in place a policy that I think they're a bit, you see that? They give us plenty of time, and they give us the mandate to have 50% by 2035. I think 2035 is too long. I think as an organization, we should have the goal to have it in place much sooner. The committees, we have by policy to have one mandatory woman in every committee. That's in place as of last year. All our policy has to be gender neutral and use appropriate language, obviously. From a sport development, also, this is probably the area where we make the most promotion of women participation, to recruit more female, because even though the dropping rate is quite similar, men and women, we still have about only 24% of women participating in judo in Canada, and this is also one big area where we're targeting to improve. From a high performance, and that's where I think the equality versus equity really show. Women and men are evaluated under the same standard. So, example, at this World Championship, we have 5 female, 8 male. This is purely based on result. In some years, it's the opposite. So we do not have specific quota for both sides. We have the same standard, men and women. The numbers evolve over years in a fairly matter. From employment, we have the same philosophy, is equal opportunity, best candidate. Currently we have, I don't want to make a mistake, 5 women out of 13 employee. It's, I guess, still fairly low. I think this is an area, again, the representation. Even from, since I've been in place, my goal is to try to hire people that have a judo background, even if it's not required. Obviously, candidate, have you seen the senior age division? There's a lot less judo participant, and that's make the employment also challenging. Also, we apply the gender equity matter in the marketing and communication, and this is now for the first year all by policy and has to be respected by all the organization. So the new project going into the next cycle, we're gonna rebrand the women promotion of judo in Canada. We will have a project for mentorship for referee and coaches. As you can see, it was one of our big challenge. And you know, in a lot of our project, we're trying to identify skillful women that could fit leadership role down the road and give them education opportunity to fit in. One of the big projects that I will start working on after this World Championship is to hire a female coach. As Jane questioned in the last presentation, they might not have one that's fully ready yet, but it needs to be. If we wait for it, it likely might never happen. So we have to take step forward to make it happen, to train and make it a priority. We will have a women's summit on an annual basis in Canada in conjunction to the 2020 Senior Pan American Championship that will be in Montreal. We will like to have Madame Lisa Allen attend and have a gender equity summit. So those are some of the activity that we hope will increase the participation of women in obviously an important position and in position to make a difference. I think the ultimate goal, we need to change the culture. I think to have policy is probably the first step, but the goal for that is to change the way people think, and not to have it because it's mandatory and it's written somewhere, but it's just the way to operate business and take decision. I think this is, but to start, I think to have it in policy is a first step, because if not, things, I forgot who said it before, but if we don't do anything differently, it's not going to change. All through this, we have generated, I will finish on this, we generated a lot of promotional video that we post on our website and social media. I have included one in the last slide. And that's just one of example. We had probably produce about 10 of those little clip. If that's one example of what we did
Thank you, Nicola.
Thank you very much.
Federation that's doing excellent work, and I'm sure some of you recognise some of the faces in those pictures, not just from today, but also from the past. So, does anybody have any questions for Nico? Okay, we'd just like to give you a gift, and we'll talk a little bit more about recommendations for national federations a little bit later on. But now I just would like to introduce our penultimate speaker, an amazing woman. She's a member of the IJF Gender Equity Commission. She's been a former athlete, a coach. She's now currently an advisor to the Minister of Youth and Sports in Algeria, and she's also a Goodwill Ambassador for UNICEF. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mrs. Salima Souakri.
Honorable assistance, chère famille du judo, bonjour, good evening, assalamu alaikum. Je suis très honorée d'être sollicitée pour apporter ma petite contribution à ce deuxième séminaire sur l'égalité des genres. Il est toujours très difficile de parler de soi et de revenir sur son parcours personnel. C'est néanmoins avec beaucoup de plaisir que je vais tenter de raconter cette belle aventure qu'a été ma carrière de judokate internationale et qui se prolonge aujourd'hui en tant que coach, conseillère du ministre de la Jeunesse et des Sports, membre de la commission de l'égalité des genres au sein de la Fédération internationale de judo, mais aussi femme de médias et militante du monde associatif.
Dear guests, dear everyone, I'm honored to be here tonight, and it's always difficult to talk about oneself, but I'm delighted to be able to do that tonight with you and to talk about my career, but also what I'm doing now as a coach, as an advisor to the Minister of Sport in Algeria, and as a member of the Gender Equity Committee. So once again, I'm happy to talk about that.
Je viens donc d'un quartier populaire de la banlieue d'Alger, en Algérie, situé en Afrique du Nord, un pays maghrébin, arabe et musulman. Mes parents se sont mariés très jeunes et eurent beaucoup d'enfants. Le premier bébé était un garçon, au grand bonheur de mon père. Le deuxième, un garçon aussi. Le troisième, un garçon. Le quatrième, un garçon. Le cinquième, je vous laisse deviner, c'était aussi un garçon. Le sixième, il fallait que je pointe le bout de mon nez. Et je suis donc née en 1974.
So I come from a popular suburb in Alger, the capital of Algeria. It's in the Maghreb. It's a Muslim country. And my parents got married very early. They had many children. The first child was a boy. My parents and my dad was really happy. The second was a boy. The third was a boy, etc., until the sixth. And I came as the sixth one in 1974.
Mon père était l'homme le plus heureux du quartier et surtout le plus fier d'avoir eu beaucoup de garçons. Il se faisait féliciter par tous, par tout le monde, comme s'il avait eu le bac.
My dad was congratulated by everyone in the suburb, and that was because he had so many boys.
Ma mère était l'épouse modèle en n'ayant que des garçons. Elle avait surtout la paix familiale et sociale, contrairement à sa voisine qui, la pauvre, au bout de la troisième naissance de sa fille, son mari la quitte pour aller se marier avec une autre femme qui, pour lui, allait avoir un garçon.
So my mother was also happy living in that suburb because with so many boys, it was an easy life for her. not compared to her neighbor who had already had a daughter after at the third child, and then her husband quit her to marry another one because for sure he would get a boy again.
Malheureusement, souvent, les filles n'étaient pas les bienvenues. J'ouvre donc mes yeux dans un environnement familial et social très masculin, mais surtout très conservateur, où tout était très compliqué pour les filles. Très jeune, j'ai tout de suite constaté la division et la discrimination. Mes frères pouvaient tout faire, mais pas moi, sous prétexte que j'étais une fille.
So when I was born in a really male environment, and everything was easy and possible for the boys, but it was difficult for the girls. That's the kind of environment I was born in.
Je ne comprenais pas pourquoi, et surtout, je refusais cette situation, et j'ai commencé très jeune à réclamer mon droit à l'égalité. Mais ce n'était pas du tout évident. Mon seul choix était donc de devenir, dans un premier temps, Selim, équivalent masculin de Selima.
So once again, I couldn't understand that situation. I was angry at it, and I wanted equality. So instead of being Salima first, I became Salim, the male version of Salima.
Toute seule, je me suis coupé les cheveux très courts. Ce fut un véritable choc pour mes parents. En vérité, j'aimais pas beaucoup être un garçon, mais c'était pour moi la seule manière de me faire accepter dans un milieu qui était interdit aux filles.
So I cut my hair myself, very short, to look like a boy, and it was a shock for my parents. But that was the only way, I didn't like to be like a boy, but that was the only way to do something.
J'ai tout de suite compris que la vie des garçons était beaucoup plus cool que celle des filles. Je pouvais jouer librement à l'extérieur au ballon avec mes frères et avec les garçons du quartier. Pour jouer un peu à la dure et m'imposer, je me bagarrais souvent avec eux. Beaucoup de parents venaient se plaindre chez les miens de ce petit garçon rebelle que j'étais.
So life was much nicer and much cooler for a so-called little boy that I was supposed to be. And I could play outside with my brothers. I could even fight. And I used to fight a lot. And neighbors would come to my parents and say, "Who is that little, boy who is fighting all the time?"
Un jour, mon père inscrit mes frères à une activité physique. La seule salle qui était la plus proche de chez nous, c'était une salle de judo. Depuis que j'ai entendu cette nouvelle, j'allais mourir de joie. Mais mon père m'a dit que ce n'était pas possible pour moi parce que j'étais une fille. Je l'ai supplié de m'inscrire et j'ai fini par le convaincre.
So my parents wanted my brothers to do some sports activity, and they found the closest sports center was a judo dojo. And when I discovered that, I was craving to start judo as well, but my dad said that it was not possible. So I have really, to ask and ask again. At the end, he accepted that I would start judo.
J'avais donc à peine 10 ans, en 84, quand j'ai commencé le judo. Avec mes 5 frères, dans une salle, on avait tous la même coupe de cheveux. Je me souviens, comme aujourd'hui, dès que j'ai mis les pieds sur un tapis de judo, je suis tout de suite tombée folle amoureuse de cette discipline.
So I started judo when I was 10 years old in 1984 with my 5 brothers. We had the same haircut, but as soon as I stepped on the mat, I knew that I was in love with that sport.
Tout allait très bien ce jour-là, jusqu'à ce que le coach fasse les présentations devant tout le monde, en disant que j'étais une fille. C'était le choc total. J'étais très gênée et surtout persuadée qu'il y aurait eu des préjugés. Tous les garçons se regardaient les uns aux autres en disant « Quoi ? Une fille ? Mais qu'est-ce qu'elle est venue faire ici ? C'est un sport de garçons. » D'autres disaient « De toute façon, elle va tout de suite abandonner en recevant la raclée de sa vie. »
So when the coach, during the first training session, made the presentation, and then when he presented me, he said that I was a girl, and everybody was surprised, and everybody was shocked, and most of the other boys would say, yes, okay, but she's going to quit soon because she's going to discover what judo is all about, and we're going to kick her ass.
J'étais là dans mon coin, très gênée et mal à l'aise, mais déterminée plus que jamais à commencer mon aventure et surtout à prouver à tout le monde qu'une fille pouvait aussi pratiquer du judo.
I was so determined to show them that I was right, they were wrong, and I wanted to prove that I could achieve something.
J'ai donc commencé les entraînements dans un climat électrique où effectivement j'ai reçu les raclées de ma vie. Je prenais des coups, je tombais sèchement à terre, mais je me relevais et je m'accrochais.
I obviously and actually started in an electrical atmosphere. And yes, they kicked my ass. Yes, they threw me on the floor. But every time I stood up and I continued.
Je m'entraînais 10 fois plus que les autres. Je n'avais plus le droit d'abandonner. C'était très dur, mais c'est comme ça que j'ai pu progresser en faisant des randonnées qu'avec des garçons. Après les entraînements, on marchait quotidiennement à pied les 10 kilomètres, moi et mes frères, pour rentrer chez nous.
So I worked 10 times harder than anyone else. And that's how it worked. That's how I could achieve what I did. And with my brothers, also at the end of every judo session, we would walk the 10 kilometers back home.
Ce qui les décourageait et on finit par tous quitter le judo, mais pas moi. Petit à petit, je me faisais mieux accepter par tout le monde et surtout par les garçons que j'arrivais maintenant à battre.
So everyone at the end more or less stopped judo, but I continued. I kept going. And step by step, I started to be respected by the other guys.
Il y a même des parents qui me voyaient à l'entraînement et ça les a encouragés à inscrire leurs filles. C'était génial. Désormais, je n'étais plus la seule fille dans cette salle.
So other parents also, were watching me and used me as an example to start putting their girls also doing judo. And suddenly I was not the only girl doing judo in that club.
Après quelques années de pratique, j'ai commencé à faire de la compétition. C'était magnifique. Parce que grâce au judo, j'avais la possibilité d'aller découvrir d'autres régions, faire de nouvelles rencontres et gagner des médailles. Moi qui n'a jamais eu l'opportunité de sortir de mon quartier, je me suis tout de suite rendu compte de la chance que j'avais de pouvoir pratiquer du judo et vivre toutes ces belles choses.
When I started competing, I quickly realized that through competing, through judo, I could discover new regions, new people. I could win medals. And I realized that it was my chance and the chance to do something different and to step out for the first time out of the suburb I was born in.
Mais malheureusement, beaucoup de filles de mon quartier n'avaient ni le droit ni la chance de les vivre à cause de la pression sociale et familiale.
Many girls in my suburb couldn't experience the same because of the social pressure and family pressure. And I had that chance, but they didn't have that one.
Après chaque déplacement, elles m'attendaient avec impatience pour leur raconter en détail tout ce que j'ai vécu. Elles découvraient ce monde extérieur à travers mes yeux et m'encourageaient à réussir pour moi et aussi pour elles.
After each competition, each trip, when I would come back, all the other girls and women would ask me, to tell them what happened, how it was, and they encouraged me to continue and to keep going.
Et comme signe de solidarité, je leur offrais à chaque fois une de mes médailles.
And as a solidarity gesture, every time I would offer them a medal.
Ma plus grande fierté fut ma sélection en équipe nationale à l'âge de 16 ans en 1990, période qui coïncide malheureusement avec la décennie noire. À cette période, l'Algérie vit dans la terreur. Les femmes sont particulièrement persécutées, encore plus opprimées.
What I'm really proud of is when I was selected for the first time in the national team when I was 16 in 1990. And so I was in the national team, but unfortunately it was also at the same time of the Black Decade that when Algeria was really in a really bad and difficult situation.
La montée de l'intégrisme se faisait sentir aussi dans le milieu sportif. Beaucoup de clubs suppriment alors leur section féminine par peur ou par conviction.
That period of time, of course, women were a massive and important target of extremism, and many clubs, many sports associations would close their female section. So women were not able anymore and allowed anymore to compete.
Mes combats sont alors un symbole de la résistance féminine à l'obscurantisme et cela devient une motivation supplémentaire qui me conduira à conquérir 12 sacres africains et une première médaille pour l'Algérie au championnat du monde junior à Buenos Aires en Argentine.
But actually, for me, it was an extra motivation, and that pushed me and motivated me to win 12 African titles and the first medal for Algeria, for female athletes in Algeria at the Buenos Aires Junior World Championship.
En étant junior toujours, j'ai vécu le rêve olympique. À Barcelone en 1992, je suis devenue la première femme de l'histoire du judo algérien à participer aux Jeux olympiques. Dans une délégation d'hommes, nous étions seulement 3 femmes porte-drapeau du sport féminin en Algérie, 2 en athlétisme et moi en judo.
So I was still a junior, and I could, live my Olympic dream. It was in Barcelona in 1992. I was the first female judoka to participate, and I was among a male delegation mainly because there were only 3 women inside the delegation. 2 were in athletics, and 1 in judo.
En plus de la fierté d'y participer, j'ai eu une honorable 5e place.
And more, not only, I was able to participate, but I could also obtain a 5th place.
À cette époque, dans une Algérie meurtrie, je deviens une cible de choix pour les intégristes qui voient en moi un modèle d'indépendance pour les femmes algériennes, une icône sportive. Leur réponse fut très dure. Par une nuit maudite de décembre 1993, un groupe armé se présente au domicile familial. Étant absente, ils assassinent mon frère Samir, âgé d'à peine 22 ans.
Because of that, I became a target for the extremist groups. And in December 1993, an armed group came home. I was not home, but they killed Samir, my young brother.
Après avoir vécu cette douloureuse tragédie, j'aurais pu rester là, agenouillée, dans un coin du cimetière, abattu, meurtri et désespéré, comme le voulaient ces intégristes. Mais non, ce n'est pas moi qui va baisser les bras. J'ai donc décidé de sécher mes larmes et de me relever pour choisir un autre destin, drapant mon chagrin dans un kimono blanc. Excusez-moi.
I could have stopped, and I could have just sat down in a cemetery and cry. But no, I decided to dry my tears, and to dry my tears not inside something, but just inside a white judo gi.
Ma vie étant maintenant menacée, je devais malheureusement fuir le foyer familial pour dormir dans des hôtels, des auberges ou chez des amis. Je continue malgré tout de m'entraîner de manière encore plus acharnée pour faire face à l'intégrisme.
I had no choice but to escape. So to escape from the suburb I was born in, and so I used to sleep in hotels at France, but I also kept training harder and harder.
Cette douleur n'a fait que renforcer mon espoir et ma détermination. À chaque titre ou médaille gagnée, je redonnais espoir à des millions de femmes algériennes. Je fis de mon sport favori un porte-voix de la lutte pour l'égalité des genres. Je m'imposerai et briserai les tabous d'une société patriarcale et conservatrice.
I was full of hope and determination, and each medal I could win would give hope also to millions of women. And it was for me a way to fight taboo and all those extremism and society that was not helping at all and was threatening women.
En 2002, je deviens la première femme africaine à remporter le prestigieux Grand Chelem de Paris à Bercy.
In 2002, I became the first African woman to win the prestigious Grand Slam in Paris.
Rêvant de voir les jeunes filles et les femmes algériennes libres et indépendantes, je me consacre, une fois ma carrière terminée en 2008, à de nouveaux combats, celui de promouvoir une culture d'intégration féminine dans chaque coin reculé du pays. Je commence alors à me déplacer vers les zones les plus éloignées, là où les femmes souffrent le plus, pour encourager les dirigeants et surtout les parents et les filles à la pratique du judo.
So in 2008, when I stopped my career, I started to promote integration. And I started also to travel inside Algeria and to go to the most remote places and to talk to leaders and parents, the families, and to push them and encourage them to make their girls do judo.
Et surtout à résister et ne jamais renoncer à leurs rêves.
But especially to resist and never let down your dreams.
Aussi, à l'occasion du mois d'octobre, j'organise depuis 7 ans un marathon contre le cancer du sein pour parler des bienfaits du sport pour la prévention de toutes les maladies.
So also, every October, and it's been the case for 7 years now, I organize a marathon to fight against breast cancer and all kind of diseases.
En 2009, je suis nommée entraîneur de l'équipe nationale féminine de judo où j'ai revécu les mêmes sensations en tant qu'athlète avec mon équipe.
So in 2009, I was nominated as the coach of the national team, the judo national team, where I could again experience what I used to experience as an athlete.
En 2011, je deviens la première femme algérienne ambassadrice de bonne volonté de l'UNICEF pour les droits des enfants.
So in 2011, I became the first Algerian woman to become the Goodwill Ambassador for UNICEF.
J'ai gardé comme objectif en tête de garantir aux petites filles l'égalité des chances.
So my goal, my personal goal, is to guarantee to especially small girls equality of chance.
Mon amour pour la communication et le partage m'amène à ajouter une nouvelle corde à mon arc, celle de l'audiovisuel. J'anime régulièrement des émissions à la télévision, toujours avec les mêmes objectifs, qui est l'égalité des chances pour tous.
So my love and attraction for communication made me work for also the audio and TV sector, where I regularly animate TV shows where my motto is really to give equal chance to everyone.
Les médias m'offrent la possibilité de transmettre mes messages à très grande échelle.
Through media, I can transmit and transfer my messages at a large scale.
Ce long voyage et ces émotions, ce rêve de petite fille, ces nombreux événements et ces innombrables rencontres, je souhaiterais les partager avec le monde entier et réaffirmer que tout est possible dans la vie, peu importe les épreuves.
Everything that I went through, I want to share it to the whole world and to show them that everything is possible no matter where you come from.
C'est ainsi que l'édition de mon ouvrage publié en 2018 est intitulé Selima Souakri, une ceinture noire et un cœur blanc.
So that's why I published a book in 2018 called Salima Swakri, Black Belt but a White Heart.
Alors, qui sera, je l'espère, un repère de qualité pour les générations futures, filles comme garçons.
And I hope it's going to be something important for the future generation, either for girls or boys.
Le judo m'a donc tout donné dans la vie. Grâce au judo, j'ai pu parcourir le monde et réaliser mes rêves les plus fous.
Judo gave me everything in my life. Thanks to judo, I could travel the world.
Le judo a été pour moi une véritable école de la vie. J'ai épuisé ma force, mes valeurs et mon envie de ne jamais renoncer. Il a forgé mon caractère et ma personnalité.
Judo was a school, and a school in life. It gave me everything. It built who I am, and yeah, thanks to judo, I can be who I am today.
Yes. Le judo demeure une passion qui brûle toujours et brûlera toujours en moi.
Judo has become and is a passion that will always burn inside me.
C'est pour tout cela qu'il est aujourd'hui de mon devoir de transmettre tout ça et d'être une partisane infatigable de l'égalité des chances pour tous.
So that's why for me it's so important today to be an ambassador and a representative of the equality of chance for everyone.
Pour conclure, je reste convaincue que le sport est un formidable outil social pour éduquer et multiplier les perspectives offertes dans la vie.
To conclude, I want to, once again to say, I'm convinced that sport is an amazing social tool to help people.
Et tous ensemble, on sera plus forts. Merci pour votre attention.
And together, we are stronger. Thank you very much.
Merci, Salima. Thank you very much. Such a moving story, and it just shows you that you can never know what's going on behind somebody in their life. I'd like to ask if anybody's got any questions for Salima. Some present from I. Thank you. So thank you for your patience. I'm sure you'll agree we've had some excellent and very, very interesting speakers joining us this afternoon. And we just have a little roundup of from myself and Sanda on what we've been doing as a commission. The IJF Gender Equity Commission have been working. Ellie? Second, while we find the right slide. So in the last year, we've been working hard. We were restructured in 2018, as you know. We're 8 members from 3 continents. And just jump forward to the end, Ellie. Just go to the very, almost to the end, about the strategy. Just because time's getting on now, I'll just jump forward to some of it. The one that's got that one in it, yeah. So just to say that we did a lot of work in the last year, but the most important piece of work I think that we did was that we developed our IJF gender equity strategy, and it's based on the principles of judo, and it's in line with the International Olympic Committee's Gender Equality Review Project, and it's published on our website for everybody to see, and it shows our vision and shares our aim and also our commitments. Go through those slides quite quickly. And a look at the current situation, it shows you that in some areas we're actually advanced in comparison to other sports, and Jordanis talked about this. Our referees referee the athlete. Gender is not a factor. On our World Judo Tour, our top athletes can compete under the same conditions at the same time, with the same rules, the same points, and the same prize money. We now have a mixed team and compete together. But as Sanda said, this is not the case when it comes to the number of women in the sport. And certainly not for the number of women in leadership positions, where women are really underrepresented, and we must commit to change this and redress the balance. There are, of course, other gender equity issues, but this is our priority for now. And I believe that we've started really to accelerate this work. And we, the IJF, urge the national federations to follow in our footsteps and try to get more women and girls into the sport and also into leadership positions. I'd take this opportunity now just to thank my fellow commission members for their time, dedication, and hard work. And I'll pass you back to Sanda, who's going to give you a couple of slides on recommended activities on gender equity for national federations.
Okay, hello again. Yeah, what should we do? You've heard quite a lot of good examples of the best practices in some of the countries, and you can find also the examples of Gender Equity Commission. But first, I would like to highlight that it is very important that you make decision to act. Why I'm stressing this? Because I observe that in many countries, in many cases, gender equity, gender equality is just a very hot topic to discuss about. And a lot of conferences are organized all around the world, and in reality, it is really a slow change. So please make first decision to act. And of course, then you have to answer the basic questions. Where to start, what to do, and how to finance the activities. So in our recommended activities, we are going to answer these three questions. So where to start? Usually we can start with the data, with the numbers, and to have a clear picture how many women are as referees, as coaches, of course, first as competitors. Then you can compare the data and you can set the goals. If it is relatively easy, now we have IGF recommendations. So if you have 20 or 30% of women competitors, you can set these goals to have 30% of women in all the other areas. Of course, goals are not enough. You have to make some kind of national action plan. Action plan means that you are going to define activities, you are going to define who is going to do what, and in what time period, and you are going to monitor what is going on. What to do? There are so many activities that you can do. First, I will recommend some education activities and some kind of network, make kind of network between women. I know that national federations are organized in a different ways. So for someone, it will be easier to make also a commission, gender equity commission. It is not a prerequisite, but it is very good because in that way, this is not for the sake of commission to have one more commission. This is to put the small or smaller number of women to work together. And working together, it will be just easier to plan the activities, to have more ideas what to do. Of course, promotion is very, very important. We can see all around the world that in sports, not only in judo, women are completely underrepresented. I will just give you example in my country. You know, there was a big analysis of all the media, and women were represented in 4% of 100% of anything. So will promote your athletes, your best results with women, and role models are always very good for young athletes. Then the third question, how to finance? I know coming from a relatively small federation that is always hard for a special projects, find a finance. But for gender questions, I think it is a little bit easier because National Olympic Committees are also trying to do whatever International Olympic Committee is advising. So they are giving some smaller budget for the national federations who are doing activity, special projects on empowering of women. You can find other sources as well, ministries of sports in your country. You can find even sportsmen who are producing products that are female-oriented. So maybe this can be for you the choice. I know that it's not easy, you know, from one budget to kind of make a decision to put a smaller amount on the already defined activities, preparation of athletes going to the competition. So be very careful so not to do counterproductive for the women. So make a special budget only for the activities for empowering women in judo. So now there are really very many examples of a good practice, and I do hope that you will start from the beginning and make a decision to act. For the end, I will just remind you that these few days and having congresses here, we were all very proud to say that we are judo family. And judo family and any family always include women. So please be aware and make sure that the women can develop within your country, within your clubs, within your societies. Thank you.
We also have a gift for Sanda for speaking. So just to finish up now, I think some people think that if everything is open for both men and women, that's enough, and it's really not. We share this world together, almost 50% men and 50% women, and we must do something to empower women in our sport and give our girls a greater voice.
creo que el deporte es algo que cambia a la sociedad.
Le judo, c'est un moyen d'expression, c'est un moyen où on peut exprimer tout ce dont on a envie.
Aproveitar cada oportunidade que aparece na vida e acreditar no seu sonho que ele vai se realizar.
Please help us to share our hashtag Girls Love Judo. So like Nicola Gill, I also dream of a day when we don't need this Gender Equity Commission and the equity just flows through every activity that we do. We need to gradually achieve gender equality and improve gender equity. We need strong role models. Young judoka can't be what they can't see, and I think we had some excellent role models presenting here today. I'd just like to especially mention Idalis because she's one of my role models. I think she's an amazing woman. Mentors, both male and female, are also vital. I grew up with a brother and my parents never differentiated between us. I grew up believing that I could do anything and be anything. When I started working for the International Judo Federation and the Sport Commission, I also was encouraged to be myself and do what I felt I needed to do. And that was encouragement by both the men and the women. And I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank those people. My father, Colin McIver, who's here today, Vladimir Barta, Head Sport Director, Larissa Kiss, International Relations Manager of the IGF, and Nicola Mesner, Media Director of the IGF. People who helped me, supported me. Sadly, as Salima told us, some women don't have this opportunity. They're not so lucky like I was. Now you all have sisters, daughters, granddaughters, nieces, and I'm sure that you would want them to get the same opportunities as your brothers, your sons, and your grandsons. National federations have a huge role to play in getting people to participate in our sport. We want more of everyone, and you must create safe, inclusive, and respectful communities and spaces where people can go to practice judo without harm. It's not what we do in life, it's what we leave behind, and we must commit to shaping an equitable and equal future. And I just leave you with some words from my colleague. Last slide, please, Ellie. That Carlos and I were talking a lot about gender equity, and he said to me, you know, Lisa, there's no judo with just one judogi. Where there is judo, there must be two. Everyone has the right to use it, men and women. Boys and girls may dream differently, but both can use the same tatami to achieve those dreams, because together we are stronger. Thank you very much. We would like to invite everybody in the room to come onto the stage so that we can make a large group photo, and we would ask the speakers if they would come to the centre. So please, everybody come forward. Dr. Etsuko, if you can go in the middle, and the speakers round the side, and we'll organise a group photograph.